Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the branch office. Welcome back to the branch office. Today's video, we're going to be correcting a mistake I made in one of my previous videos during the IMS bearing install process when I went to reinstall the tensioners. Something seemed off while I was doing it, so I went back, couldn't figure out what it was. Watched a couple other videos, specifically Burner's Garage has a nice YouTube video on this, and Help Me DIY has a pretty good one too. And from his perspective, there was he's not a mechanic by trade, so he's figuring things out on the fly. It's a very helpful video if you really aren't familiar with what you're doing, and if you are familiar with what you're doing, watching him think through the process is helpful because it helps you to figure out what it was. And in my case, what I had done was this particular tensioner was actually the IMS chain tensioner, and I installed it on the what would essentially be the passenger side cylinder head timing chain from crank to head. Um, what what that would do if the engine ever ran that way, I'm not real sure. I'm sure it wouldn't be good. And to further illustrate what a not very smart mistake that was, come to find out that there are rings embossed in this. You see the one recessed ring in this tensioner, and when you look at the block, has a ring on it that matches either one, or if it's on the other side, two rings. So you really can't, if you're thinking, screw this up. So I must not have been thinking. So I wanted to make this quick video and just redo my mistake. The other thing that came to light when I was taking them back out to see what belonged where, one of my O-rings that I installed had slightly torn on lip as I was installing it. I did lube the O-rings prior to, but apparently not enough. I don't know whether it shaved enough off of the O-ring to actually cause any problems, to cause an oil leak, because obviously this engine has not yet started. So no harm, no foul. I just didn't want to put any bad information out there for anybody. So I'm gonna try to go through this process real quick, trying to keep the videos down closer to 10 to 15 minutes. So what we're going to do would be the same as if you were just installing them after a service. We're going to take our pick, and we're going to replace these green O-rings, even though they're brand new, or were brand new, simply because of their price, and it's the right thing to do. You don't want to, I think I said in the other video, for a couple bucks, you really don't want to have to go back and do this under the car. Both of the videos that I mentioned earlier are done from the perspective of the engine still in the car, and that certainly gives you a much different view of what this job can be like, compared to doing it on a stand like I have the good fortune of doing. So anyway, you just take your new O-ring. This one's a little tricky because it has a spring here, but you can walk it down the spring, you can stretch it over the spring. There's a little oil still on the spring, so it's probably helping to lube the O-ring up a little bit. I'm not going to solely rely on that as my source of lubrication, but you just get the O-ring right down there in the groove. These sealing washers I am not replacing, simply because I only put these in hand tight. I never crushed the sealing washer, so they should be okay. A little touch of assembly lube, and this stuff is really, thick, kind of nasty stuff that will follow you if you're not careful with it. So I just run that around here, and then going to have to reposition the camera. Your first tensioner goes in this hole right here. This is the ring I was talking about that matches the 1 ring on the tensioner. So to install, simply going to slide that in. Now I do have to put you back in the holder because this is not a one-handed job. And just start to thread it in. I believe we have a 32 millimeter on that. Don't think I will need an extension. We'll just get in there. Tighten her down. Just kind of go hand tight on it. Make sure the ring is seated. Make sure there's no gap. Same thing for the other two. The rear one over here on this side will go right up. I don't know if you can see that, YouTube, or not. Right up in there. The circles, I really can't get on camera. They're up above this exhaust pipe. And you might be able to get a glimpse of them in through here. I don't know how good that shot is. By hand, or you have to put a piece of cloth in your socket to stick the tensioner out a little bit more. Okay, click. All right, YouTube, torque spec on these two tensioners, 59 foot-pounds. Got our torque wrench set to that. There's that one. And there's that one. And that's actually a better torque than I had last time because I think I used an extension, which is usually a no-no. So I'm going to pause you for a minute and do the front tensioner, and then we will have corrected our mistakes. Be right back. To show you what I meant by the tear, I have to move my camera around here. From the last install, I don't know if the camera will pick this up or not. You see a little nick. Which way is the camera? A little nick in the O-ring right there and right there. It was just a little piece of green rubber that I found that was still in the boss that this threads into. And again, I don't know if it would have caused a problem, but for me it was a problem. Certainly for a couple dollars. You know, you don't want to have to replace these, although this might be, I don't know, I've heard it said that it's one of the harder ones. I've heard it said it's one of the easier ones. In the car, you would be looking through the engine access plate behind the seats. And I would think this would be readily available because I know the compressor is. I've replaced tensioners on these before, and you know, other than the seat access, it wasn't too difficult. So all we're doing here is threading the O-ring down. Put a dab of assembly lube on it. That was a little more than a dab, but it'll be all right. I did check the Boss for any sharp edges. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me. So we're going to drop that down in there. Okay, we'll get one thread started. And then, excuse me, this is a new socket. I don't know if it's going to fit in there. I bought it because the last time I did this, I had to use an open-ended wrench, which may be the case here again. Let's see if I can't get it down a couple threads. It's really a tight fit. There's one bolt, appears to be for the mount of the AC compressor. You could probably take out and get enough access, but I'll be right back with the proper tool. Simply trying to get enough on this came out with this tool, so should have enough throw to get it back in, but there we go. Once I get it in its own working range, it should be okay. Yep. Get a little turn that way and a bigger turn that way. Little turn, bigger turn. I will probably be fast forwarding through this so you don't have to watch that. Okay, as you can see from the time that it took to thread that in, it's a little bit tedious, and I still don't have enough access to get the socket in there to properly torque this down. Will not go in this way, so what I'm inclined to do is to take that bolt off that's interfering, and I'll move the camera around so you can see what I'm doing. Meantime, I'll be right back after I get a 13mm socket. Well, here's the thing I just realized. These probably will not interfere if you're doing this. Apparently I took those off when I was stripping down the engine and then put them back, but not all the way, so the bolt was actually sticking out a little bit. Look here, the front bolt is sticking out. That may now give us, and does give us, enough access room to then get our torque wrench extension will place you back in the cradle. And that's it. Hopefully, hopefully if you watched this first video, you were able to watch this video to see the correction on it. I don't know that anybody would have made the mistake that I made based on watching the video, simply because I told you in the video to lock the, or to mark the tensioners where they came from. My problem was, where my mistake was, I mislabeled the bags, or I think I may have picked up the wrong bag. I can't really tell from the video what I did that was incorrect, but I knew something wasn't quite right when I was putting them back in, mainly because the tensioner on the passenger side rear of the engine, which would be the, I'm assuming that's bank 2, and that's because it has 2 rings in that O-ring, but don't hold me to that. I just picked up the wrong bag, I think. I may have pre-labeled them, and maybe that was my mistake. But either way, if you label your bags and keep track, and maybe don't try to build or try to assemble an engine you're not familiar with and shoot a YouTube video at the same time, you'll probably be just fine. My problem is trying to pay attention to the video and do a good job at the same time. Here I'm just reinstalling this bracket for the AC. Got these nifty little adjustable ratcheting wrenches from, I believe they're Craftsman. Yeah, they're Craftsman. I don't think they're made anymore. I should have bought 2 sets when I had the opportunity. I needed these for a motor mount on a small block Chevy that had very limited access. So anyway, that's it. I hope you got to see the correction. Now that the IMS is completely installed, we're going to be going around and making videos of things that I need to swap over, as this is a 2.7 liter out of an O2. It's going into a 2.5 liter car that's a 99 car. You can see in the video that I have for opening the top with no battery power. By the way, I realized this, my Pride and Joy was in the background, so I'll show it to you. That's my 99. I don't know if I can zoom out or not, but it's got 67,000 original miles. Got the glass window in the back. Needs a little bit of work up there in the corner, but I will be doing a couple videos on this car as it's in for the winter. It's been winterized, and I will be replacing the outboard CV boots on that in a later video, but sometime this winter. Probably not anytime soon, as I certainly have my hands full with this. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you're getting anything at all out of this, please like the video. Please subscribe. The channel is probably just going to be a one and done thing, because it's a very specific application, and hopefully, as these cars get older and become, come into the hands of more DIYers, hopefully people will be able to look back on these videos, and the 2.5 liter engines are going to start becoming scarce. The 2.7s being the newer ones share a lot of parts with them, as you'll see in the future videos, but they also differ slightly. So this will be a good application for somebody who maybe can't find a 2.5 maybe wants a little bit more power, but doesn't want to go, full blown $10,000 engine upgrade in one of these things. I love the cars. I'd love to keep as many on the road as we possibly can. This is just my little way of doing it. So please hit the bell. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.